It's not too hard to work out what this story is going to be about, but I am saying nothing. So off you go.
Can you hear me okay?
Hear you perfect. Yep.
Okay. We first went out on a date when we were 16, and apart from the odd interruption, joining the priesthood, moving away to London, dating other people, moving to Galway, we were together pretty much consistently and got engaged when we were 24. And then we took a very relaxed approach to actually getting married, finally getting around to it when we were 30. When I told a work colleague that we were getting married, he said, "Congratulations, I didn't know Eileen was pregnant. When's she due?" "She's not pregnant." "Really?" he replied. "How posh." We were living in Kildare, but we wanted to get married at home in County Monaghan, the true centre of the universe. So we did. Traditionally, the couple gets married in the bride's home parish, which would have been Monaghan town itself, the actual centre of the true centre of the universe. But for reasons I can't quite recall, we decided to get married in Tidavnet, my parish. We booked our wedding reception in Cabra Castle in King's Court. The manager there asked how many people we were inviting. Ours was a small wedding by Monaghan standards, an intimate gathering of 196 people. The manager reassured us that generally 25% declined the invitation due to clashing holidays, commitments, or acts of God. We were relaxed either way, which was just as well, as we actually had 198 people show up. Eileen organised her dress, the flowers, the ceremony, the band, the menu, the hotel reservations for guests, the honeymoon, the invitations, and the cake. All I had to organise were my own shoes. This was no problem, as I worked in the shoe trade. I was the Irish agent for Skechers at the time and dealt on a daily basis with the best shoe shops in the country, any one of whom would have been only too delighted to send me any shoes I desired from any brand you can imagine. So I was very relaxed about getting them. So relaxed, in fact, that I forgot and ended up buying anything I could find in my size the day before. A trivial detail. A few days before the wedding, we left our house in Kildare and went home. Eileen spending the next few days in her family home, me in mine. Visitors called with well wishes. On the night before our wedding, all of our friends gathered in the Squealing Pig, and we thought it would be an awful shame that we missed out on the crack, so we joined them. Many people commented on the fact that we shouldn't be meeting the night before our wedding, but we were very relaxed about all of that. I think Eileen left the bar at midnight-ish. I went home with my brothers at 2 a.m. The wedding wasn't until 1 p.m, so naturally we stayed up and played pool and drank whiskey till 4 a.m. The next morning I was rudely awoken at 11:30 and then had breakfast in bed and a bath. I got dressed leisurely and headed over to the church for 1 p.m. We were to be married by two priests, Father Joe from my parish, whose church we were getting married in. He was the co-celebrant, and Father Larry, who was the parish priest from town, Eileen's parish. Father Larry is now the Bishop of Clogher, and yes, before you ask, it was as a direct result of marrying us, I imagine. My brothers John and Stephen were best man and groomsman, and we entered the empty church and proceeded to the altar, where we ran through again where each of us was to stand at various points. My brothers were more nervous than I was. Father Larry came out and told us a few jokes to put the boys at ease, and we were all relaxed and having a good time when it happened. I looked around and saw a church full of people smiling up at me. Oh, sweet divine Jesus, this is all real. This is all happening now. I felt myself wobble. I needed to sit down. I took my place in the front row, John and Stephen sitting either side of me, telling me I was going to be fine. My head was resting on the handrail. I was concentrating on breathing. Mum and Dad were sitting behind us, getting concerned. They passed forward a packet of throaties. I ate 5 immediately. I looked around to say thanks to Dad, and he immediately said to John and Stephen, "Get him outside now before he faints." I'd only ever fainted twice before, as a child, and oddly both times at Mass, once in this very church. I'd always joked that it was a low boredom threshold. Maybe God was punishing me now for those jibes. She can be funny like that. I was helped outside by Dad, John, and Stephen. I sat on a small wall beside the side door, my head between my knees, breathing heavily. Stephen went to the front corner of the church so that he could keep an eye out for Eileen's car arriving. John and Dad kept saying soothing words, I imagine. I just kept hearing a rumbling noise in my ears, which changed slightly in pitch as I breathed. She's here, get back in, Stephen shouted as he ran back towards us. I snapped to attention and regretted it immediately. Everything was brighter, pleasantly so for a second, then blindingly so. And then somehow I'm standing at the front of the church, facing Fathers Joe and Larry, holding on to the handrail in front so tightly that my knuckles are white. Nearly there, my brother John whispers. Don't faint, don't faint, don't faint, I mutter under my breath as I step out into the aisle. Don't faint, don't faint, don't faint, I continue. Eileen kisses her dad on the cheek and then turns to me. Jesus, she whispers. She holds my hand. Don't faint, don't faint. She squeezes my hand as we sit down. Don't faint, don't faint. Wait, I'm smiling. I'm okay. I gradually calm down. We make it through the readings. Father Larry's homily, charming and about us. This guy will go far, I think. And we're standing to make our vows. Father Larry is holding the microphone to his mouth. Do you, Paul, take Eileen to be your lawfully wedded wife? As I lean forward to the microphone to answer, he tilts it towards me and I do booms out around the church. There's no doubting that answer, Larry quips, and there is much laughter. He's a bishop now, you know. Eileen says she does too. We kiss. Larry says, ahem, loudly, and we stop kissing. As we sit down, everyone can hear my sigh of relief. We hold hands. I relax. Communion, signing the register, applause, photos, photos, photos. We're in an old car, a vintage car no less, on our way to Cabra Castle, very, very slowly. This delightful old car will not cross 30 miles per hour. We don't care. We're married. We have the world's tiniest bottle of champagne. We relax. The car starts to make loud, disconcerting noises. Our chauffeur curses loudly. Our guests start to overtake us. It starts to rain. The single tiny windscreen wiper makes it halfway across the windscreen and then stops. Our cursing chauffeur pulls over and gets out with sheets of newspaper and mops the screen. He gets back in. We drive another mile and he pulls in again to clear the screen. I am no longer relaxed. Eileen squeezes my hand. Relax. Everyone's having a drink at the hotel. As long as we're there by 6 and they get fed, they'll all be fine. We're not in any rush. And we weren't, which was just as well, as it took us another hour to get the 10 miles to the hotel. We got there eventually. Everyone had just assumed that we were getting photographs taken somewhere and hadn't missed us at all. My brother John was actually hoping that we'd changed our minds and gone straight to the airport so we wouldn't have to make his speech. He looked even worse than I had in the church. I gave him the last of the throaties and told him all will be well. The photograph shows how well his speech went. He relaxed. We relaxed. Everyone relaxed. We went to bed at 5 a.m. and we were the first ones to leave the bar. It was a grand, relaxing day.
Look at that fantastic photo. What did he say? Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember, but that'd be a whole story in itself.
Oh, was it something embarrassing to you by any chance?
Perhaps. Maybe I'll get him to a 10 by 9 the next.
Ah, yes. Paul, I have to say, you have barely changed.
Yes, thank you.
How long ago is this? Sorry.
97.
97, right. Wow. That is quite amazing. You really have, Eileen has obviously been good for you.
Absolutely. Grace.
I said to you earlier, do you have is there another photo because people will want to see the dress?
Oh yes, well I have. I had to go to the attic earlier to get this, so that is. I don't know. You see that?
Very fancy.
That's it with the organza cloak, and at about 3 a.m. without.
Fantastic. That is such an Irish wedding, isn't it? A small do, 196.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was the smallest of all our friends' weddings.